Hey guys, it's Zen the Jew again. If this is your first time on my channel, welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. Certainly if you do like this video at the end, please give it a like and a subscribe, and you click on the bell for notifications for future videos that I put out as well. Today I wanted to talk about another book review, and this one is by Bogan. This book I never would have picked up myself if it wasn't for the author of Psychic Witch, Matt Aron. He recommended this book simply because I enjoyed his book so much and Devin Hunter's book so much. And I also mentioned, I think in the past, that I enjoyed a lot of history. So this is The Secret Keys of Conjure by Bogan. Now, this book I probably bought about a month or two ago on Amazon, and again, it's not a book that I would have specifically picked out for myself. I really took Matt Aron's recommendation based on what he thinks would be a good read for me, because I asked him for those recommendations. So let's talk about that. So The Secret Keys of Conjure, it goes into a lot about history, which, as I mentioned, I love history, based on the occult, especially in Wicca. Wicca does not give enough information based on where their more simplistic type of practices come from, and this book actually does tell you where those specific things came from. Now, Bogan is a doctor of Conjure, so he has several clients and several people that come to him. He's a teacher. Just from reading this book, you can tell he is 100% professional in everything that he writes and everything that he practices. So what I want to go into today really quick is, of course, like I normally do, go into the contents, or table of contents that are in the book. Here we go. Okay, so this book has quite a bit of information based off of Conjure, American Conjure, so this is going to be a combination of different practices such as voodoo, explains voodoo, hoodoo, the difference between the two. It goes into American Indian practices, it goes into Pennsylvania Dutch practices. There's a lot of things that this book actually covers. If you're interested in history, it's definitely one you want to pick up. Starting off with the contents, the keys to divination, unlocking psychic awareness, the keys to ritual, unlocking blessings, the keys to curios, unlocking good luck, the keys to language, which is unlocking healing, the keys to cleansing, which is unlocking spiritual purification, the keys to knot and stitches, which is unlocking protection, the keys to personal concerns, unlocking influence, the keys to scent, unlocking sexual excitement, the keys to sweetening, which is unlocking love, the keys to setting light, which is unlocking wealth, the keys to powders, which is unlocking justified hexes, the keys to graveyard, which is unlocking the spirit conjuration, and last is the master key. In addition to these particular contents, he also has in here pages where you can find specific recipes that you may be looking for if you're looking to do a particular spell or conjure an oil or a powder or a room spray for cleansing. He really goes over a lot of things in this book based on really everything. He touches bases on everything as far as Conjure is concerned, or American Conjure. He goes into DreamWorks, he goes into the dream state, why we dream about things in each chapter, and what symbolization could be as well. In the key to ritual, he goes over what roots, stalk, and bark mean leaf, bud, bloom, seed, and fruit, based on each plant that you can associate every elixir or oil that you'll be making is certainly has to do with each part of the plant. Instead of using just the buds like a rose, you use the rosebud petals for love manifestation, or you could use it for finding love or self-love. But he goes into different things that you could use as far as the root of different plants is used for some things, such as the beginning or the start of something. If you're looking to start maybe a job, then you would go to the root of, let's say, basil. Then you have the stalk of basil, which would be the current situation. Then you have the flowers itself, or the petals, or the leaves, or whatever you like to call them, depending on what type of basil you're working with. That has something to do with something else. So a lot of the plants he goes into the reasons why we use roots versus stems versus flowers versus petals. He also goes into different stones or crystals within his working. He goes into essential oils and what oils you can replace. In a recipe, he explains the zodiac. This is the zodiac man. So, what parts of the body is associated with the zodiac? I already know. Aquarius, which is me, as part of the legs, so that's down there. There's curios. Why he explains why they call it curios, because in the early 20th century, possibly the late 19th century, he has written about situations where people were guaranteeing manifestation in potions and liquids, so on and so forth. So they came up with the word curios instead, which would be something that you can purchase legally without the promise for any type of manifestation per se, or magic. So looking at different things in here, healing magic was a good one as far as energy from one body or from the healer to a person who is sick. It tells the healer, or the healer can find out what part of the body is not well or what's wrong with a person just by using the energy with their hand waving over their body themselves. And what words that you could use as far as helping them or help the client heal in a sense of a spiritual way. And I'm going to stop right there. I do apologize that I have not been on YouTube for a little while, unfortunately. As you've noticed with the last video with Chelsea, her passing and a couple other personal issues have been going on, so I just haven't been doing anything. It took me a very long time to finish this book normally, longer than what it normally does, for the simple fact that I just simply did not feel like doing anything because of losing my little girl. But we're all better now, life goes on, so I'm thankful for that she's also in a better place. You can unlock influence for people, which is influencing someone who is maybe a boss that you don't get along with, or if it's influencing someone based on power to where you want to have power over them. There's information about that in this book too, where he teaches you different concoctions that you can create. He goes into candle work. He goes into the keys. The one at the last chapter, which I find very interesting, is the master key. And the master key is simply, I'm sure you've seen the symbolization elsewhere, is where you take two keys, preferably antique keys, you cross them, and then it teaches you how to intertwine them with red thread, or red rope, or red string. So it's a great piece of information, not only about each individual chapter, but the conclusion based on each chapter. Most of the information that comes with this book is not only based on true American practices, which have originated here, but he does go into the origination of each type of working, such as we're looking at South Africa, with that he also goes into folk spirits such as Native American Indians, or from Louisiana, which is voodoo or hoodoo. Again, he does explain the difference between the two because there is a big difference. One is a religion, one is not. One is just a practice. He goes, believe it or not, into Christianity. I have not read a lot of books that go into Christianity, and because I grew up Catholic, this had a positive reaffirmation, if you would, a reaffirming words written all over the idea of Christianity, because there are many people who were famous down in Louisiana or over in Louisiana, depending on where you live, that actually were Christian or Catholic based, and they still studied and practiced witchcraft on a daily basis, a weekly basis, or however they needed to. So I found that to be simply amazing, because this is the only book that brings up Christianity, and this is another book that brings up demons, it brings up angels, it brings up the difference between the two, but also it explains the similarities between the two, which is really interesting. There are some biblical rites that are written in this book by Mr. Bogan, and it amazes me because, again, you never think of, at least I never thought of, Christianity being inside a book of witchcraft or conjure or anything of that matter that has to do with the occult. But this book I do highly recommend. Again, it wasn't something I would pick up normally, but I mean, The Secret Keys of Conjure, Unlocking the Mysteries of American Folk Magic by Charles Bogan really hit the nail on the head. I really enjoyed it. If you feel that you want to look out to getting his book, or look to getting his book, it is available on Amazon. That's why I purchased it. I don't know. I know his personal website is in here at the end, based off his bibliography, and it is. See if I can find it. Okay, it doesn't have his personal website in the back. Perhaps it's in the front. Yes, charlesbogan.com. Ooh, yeah, that was hard. But if you want to know more about Charles Bogan before you go to his website, I'm just going to read this little piece here. This is Charles Bogan in San Francisco, California, the professional conjuring doctor who practices at his store, The Mystic Dream. He is an innate and practitioner of various metaphysical traditions, teaching classes on conjure and fairy at the online school, which he is the founder of Mystic Dream Academy, as well as at conventions and festivals. He also produces talking boards and spiritual supplies steeped in hoodoo, also known as modern conjure. You can find him online at charlesbogan.com. Now, again, he amazed me with this book. Again, if you'd like to reach out and get a copy, please do. It was really well worth my time as far as reading it when I finally did finish reading it. And Mr. Bogan, I certainly apologize that I did not finish your book in a timely manner like I planned on doing. But it was a great read. I know that also by speaking to Charles Bogan on Twitter, that he is currently working on another book. Now, when I messaged him, I was asking him if he was going to have another book about Conjure, because I fell in love with this book. I thought it was a great piece of literature. It has great aspects that you can learn from, or anybody can learn from a beginner standpoint, all the way to someone who is seasoned and well into their practice. But he disclosed that he is not working on another book about Conjure. He's actually working on another book that goes into witchcraft, which I have to admit I'm really excited because I do want to read it. and I made sure he was aware of that and to let me know when it does come out or when it's on pre-release so I can pre-order it. But his book is definitely going right up here somewhere, along with Mr. Devin Hunter and also Mr. Matt Oren. Those are my two most absolute favorite authors that I've ever encountered. Speaking of which, all these things up here, those are shadow boxes with the original working of each author, and two of those books, one by Matt Oren, one by Mr. Devin Hunter, are both signed, so I wanted to have them as keepsake items. Plus I have two additional books up here, which are from Mr. Devin Hunter, that I enjoyed because it's part of a 3-book series that is up here on the wall. If you've seen my last video, which was about Modern Witch by Devin Hunter, that was just outstanding. That was an incredible read as well. So as it turns out, Charles Bogan and Mr. Devin Hunter do know each other very, very well. So I don't know if they collaborate on a lot of things, but I do know they do have the plant world in common on Twitter, and they're both fantastic people. So again, if you're interested in the keys to Conjure, if you're interested in liking my videos, if you're interested in subscribing, please feel free to do so. Remember, click on that bell at the bottom of the screen also so you know when I put out a new video and you don't miss the new one. And anyway, thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a great weekend.